The northern lights danced across the Norwegian sky as Dr. Evelyn Reed carefully brushed away centuries of soil from what appeared to be an ordinary crystal formation. But there was nothing ordinary about the way it pulsed with an inner light that seemed to respond to her touch. After 15 years of archaeological work, she'd never encountered anything like it. "Professor, you need to see this," her research assistant called from the other side of the excavation site. Evelyn straightened, her joints protesting after hours of crouching. The bite of Arctic wind was barely noticeable through her thermal gear as she made her way across the dig site. The ground suddenly trembled beneath her feet. At first, she thought it was another minor earthquake, they'd been experiencing them for days. But this was different. The vibration had a pattern, almost like a heartbeat. Then the sky split open. A ship descended through the aurora borealis, its crystalline surface reflecting the ethereal lights. It was massive, easily the size of a football field, and unlike anything human engineering could produce. Evelyn's scientific mind rapidly catalogued details even as her heart raced: the impossibly smooth surface, the complete absence of sound, the way it seemed to bend light around itself. Armed figures emerged from the ship, their armor gleaming with the same crystalline properties as their vessel. They moved with inhuman grace, surrounding the dig site with military precision. But it was their leader who caught Evelyn's attention. She stood taller than the others, her armor more ornate but no less functional. Her skin was a deep indigo that seemed to shimmer in the aurora's light, and her eyes, all three of them, glowed with an inner fire that matched the crystal in Evelyn's hand. "I am Commander Thura of the Stellar Concordat," she announced in perfect English, her voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. "You have uncovered something that belongs to my people." Evelyn's grip tightened on the crystal. Years of research, countless rejected grant proposals, and endless ridicule from her peers, all leading to this moment. This artifact was found on Earth, in a layer of soil dating back 12,000 years. If anything, it belongs in a museum where we can study it. Thura's central eye narrowed. "You don't understand what you're holding, human. That crystal is part of the heart of Concordat, our most sacred relic. Its theft led to centuries of war." Theft? Evelyn's archaeological instincts kicked in. "The dating is precise. This crystal has been here since before recorded human history." "Precisely." Thura took a step forward, her movement liquid smooth. "When the great betrayal occurred, the heart was shattered and its pieces scattered across the galaxy. We've spent millennia tracking them down. This is the last piece." The crystal pulsed stronger now, its light synchronizing with the strange heartbeat vibration. Evelyn found herself fascinated by the way it responded, almost like it was alive. "If what you're saying is true, this is incredible. Think of what we could learn from each other. The archaeological implications alone." "This isn't a research opportunity," Thura interrupted. "Hand over the crystal, or we will take it by force." The other soldiers raised their weapons, crystalline devices that hummed with barely contained energy. Evelyn's research team backed away, hands raised. But Evelyn stood her ground. "If this crystal is so important, why did your people leave it here? Why wait 12,000 years to retrieve it?" Something flickered across Thura's alien features, surprise, perhaps? "We couldn't retrieve it. The crystal can only be handled by one who is worthy. Hundreds of my people have tried. The crystal rejected them all, often violently." As if in response, the crystal's light intensified. Evelyn felt warmth spread up her arm, not uncomfortable but definitely noticeable. The sensation reminded her of the first time she'd held a truly significant artifact, that moment of connection across centuries, the weight of history in her hands. "And yet," Thura continued, her voice softer now, "it responds to you. A human." She stepped closer, her movement cautious now. "In 12,000 years, this has never happened." The crystal's pulse quickened, matching Evelyn's heartbeat. Energy crackled between it and her skin, creating beautiful patterns of light that mirrored the aurora above. Understanding dawned in Thera's 3 eyes. "The prophecy," she whispered. "When the stars align and the lost heart finds its guardian." She straightened suddenly, authority returning to her voice. "Dr. Reed, I apologize for my hasty approach earlier. It seems we have much to discuss." "About this prophecy?" "About everything. The crystal choosing you, it changes everything. Our worlds are about to become much closer than either of us anticipated." Thera glanced at the sky, where more lights were appearing, and these weren't the aurora. "And we don't have much time." The inside of the stellar Concordat's ship was even more impressive than its exterior. Crystalline corridors pulsed with living light, responding to the movements of those who walked through them. Evelyn tried to maintain her professional composure, but her archaeologist's heart was racing at each new discovery. "The crystal responds to neural patterns," Thera explained as they walked, noticing Evelyn's fascination. "Our entire civilization is built on this technology." She paused, her 3 eyes focusing on the crystal still clutched in Evelyn's hand. "Which is why its choice of you is so unprecedented." The crystal had grown warmer since they'd boarded the ship, its light now synchronized perfectly with the ship's ambient glow. Evelyn could feel it humming against her palm, almost like it was trying to communicate. "Your people didn't just build with these crystals, did you?" Evelyn asked, her scientific mind racing ahead. "You evolved with them." A slight smile curved Thera's indigo lips. "Very perceptive. The crystals are as much a part of us as our blood. Which makes its acceptance of you even more remarkable." She stopped before a massive door that sparkled like a frozen waterfall. "And more dangerous." The door dissolved at their approach, revealing a circular chamber dominated by a hovering crystalline sphere. Inside it, fragments similar to the one Evelyn held floated in a complex dance. "The remaining pieces of the heart," Thera said softly. "We've spent millennia collecting them, but without the final piece, your piece, they're incomplete." "And what happens when they're complete?" Before Thera could answer, another voice cut through the chamber. "Nothing, if I have anything to say about it." A tall figure emerged from the shadows. His armor was darker than Thera's, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. His central eye was scarred, giving him a perpetually angry expression. "High Commander Vrath," Thera's tone cooled considerably. "I wasn't aware you'd left the capital. When I heard about the final piece being found, and its chosen bearer, how could I stay away?" His gaze fixed on Evelyn with an intensity that made her skin crawl. "A human. How far the mighty Concordat has fallen." The crystal chose her. Thera stepped slightly in front of Evelyn, a move that seemed both protective and possessive. "You know the prophecy as well as I do. Prophecies can be misinterpreted." Vrath moved closer, his armor making no sound despite its apparent weight. "Or altered." The crystal in Evelyn's hand suddenly blazed with light, its warmth becoming almost uncomfortable. At the same time, the fragments in the sphere began to pulse erratically. "Fascinating," Vratha's voice held no warmth. "It responds to her emotions. All the more reason why this is too dangerous. The heart of Concordat cannot be bound to a primitive species." "Primitive?" Evelyn found her voice, anger overriding caution. "We may not have your crystal technology, but humanity has achieved plenty on our own. We've split the atom, mapped our genome, reached our moon." "Child's play," Vrath dismissed. "Your species is still crawling out of the mud while we traverse galaxies." "Enough." Thera's command cracked like lightning. "The crystal has chosen. The prophecy is clear. When the lost heart finds its guardian from beyond the stars, 2 worlds shall become one. Like it or not, High Commander, she is now part of our destiny. Then perhaps destiny needs to be changed." Vratha's hand moved to his weapon. "For the good of the Concordat, the human must be eliminated and the crystal reclaimed." Everything happened at once. Vratha's weapon materialized in his hand, its crystal core glowing with deadly intent. Thera moved to intercept, her own weapon appearing in a flash of light. And the crystal in Evelyn's hand exploded with energy. Power surged through Evelyn's body, unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Knowledge flooded her mind, ancient knowledge, encoded in the crystal's structure. She saw the Concordats' history, their evolution alongside the crystals, the great betrayal that had shattered the heart, and the true meaning of the prophecy. Stop. Her voice carried the crystal's resonance, echoing with power she didn't understand but somehow knew how to use. The fragments in the sphere froze their erratic dance, aligning perfectly with the piece in her hand. Both Thera and Vrath staggered, their weapons dimming. They stared at her with a mixture of awe and fear. The heart responds to her, Thera whispered. Completely. Impossible, Vrath snarled, but even he couldn't deny what they were seeing. Evelyn stepped forward, the crystal's knowledge guiding her words. Your ancestors didn't leave this piece on Earth by accident. They chose my world, knowing that someday our species would evolve enough to bridge the gap between us. The heart wasn't stolen, it was divided intentionally, waiting for the right moment, the right person, to bring your people back to the path they'd strayed from. The chamber's lights pulsed in harmony with her words, and Evelyn felt Thera's presence beside her, a solid warmth that somehow felt right. But Vratha's darkness remained, a shadow waiting to strike. The next move would change everything, she could feel it in the crystal's song. The question was, would it unite two worlds or tear them both apart? The ship's warning systems activated without warning, bathing the crystal chamber in crimson light. Evelyn felt the change through the crystal, a discordant note in its otherwise harmonious song. We have multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace, Thera announced, her hands dancing over a crystalline control panel. They're not broadcasting Concordat signatures. The shadowed stars, Vratha's scarred face twisted into a snarl. They must have followed my ship here. Your ship. Thera's 3 eyes blazed with fury. You led them to us? I needed insurance, Vrath backed toward the door. If the council wouldn't see reason about the human, perhaps others would. The ship shuddered under the first impact. Through the crystal's connection, Evelyn felt the vessel's pain as if it were her own. The fragments in the sphere spun wildly, responding to the attack. You fool, Thera's voice was ice. The shadowed stars don't want to help the Concordat. They want to destroy it, and take the heart's power for themselves. Another blast rocked the ship. Evelyn stumbled, but Thera caught her with inhuman grace. The moment their skin touched, the crystal flared between them, and suddenly Evelyn could feel Thera's emotions, determination, anger, and underneath it all, a fierce protectiveness. We need to get to the bridge, Thera said, not letting go of Evelyn's arm. If they capture this ship, both our worlds are in danger. You're not going anywhere. Vrath raised his weapon. The human stays here. There are 6 shadowed star warships bearing down on us, Thera's patience had clearly run out. And you want to fight among ourselves? The ship bucked again, harder this time. Warning crystals throughout the chamber pulsed with urgent messages that Evelyn somehow understood: shield failure imminent, weapon systems charging too slowly, hull integrity compromised in multiple sections. The ship, she gasped. It's alive, isn't it? Not just responsive, actually alive. Yes, Thera confirmed. All our ships are grown, not built. And right now, this one is dying. The knowledge came to Evelyn through the crystal, how the Concordat's ships were cultivated from crystal seeds, nurtured over centuries until they developed consciousness. This ship had lived for over 1,000 years, and now it was being torn apart. No. She wouldn't let that happen. Without fully understanding what she was doing, Evelyn raised the crystal. Power surged through her, connecting with the fragments in the sphere. The ship's pain flowed into her, but so did its strength. Its song joined with the crystals, creating a harmony that made her very bones vibrate. Impossible, Vrath breathed. The ship's crystals responded to Evelyn's call, their light changing from crimson to brilliant blue. She felt the vessel's systems through the heart, weapons, shields, engines, all waiting for direction. In that moment, she understood why the crystal had chosen her. Humans didn't just adapt to new situations, they transformed them. Thura, she called, her voice resonating with crystal energy. I can strengthen the shields, but I need your knowledge to do it properly. Without hesitation, Thura placed her hand over Evelyn's on the crystal. The connection between them exploded into full awareness, thoughts, memories, instincts flowing both ways. Evelyn saw Thura's centuries of combat experience, her deep love for her people, her growing feelings for the human who had changed everything. In return, Thura experienced human determination, creativity, and passion. Together, they reached for the ship's systems. Power flowed from the heart fragments through Evelyn, refined and directed by Thura's expertise. The shields blazed to life, stronger than ever, just as another barrage hit. This time, the ship barely shuddered. No! Vrath raised his weapon, but he was too late. Crystal barriers sprouted from the floor, encasing him in a pristine prison. He struck the walls, but they absorbed each blow, growing stronger with each impact. The prophecy, Thura said softly, still connected to Evelyn through the crystal. It wasn't just about uniting our peoples. It was about this, humans and Concordat working together, each making the other stronger. How touching, a new voice rasped through the ship's communication crystals. But it changes nothing. Surrender the heart, or we will tear this ship apart piece by piece. The speaker's image appeared in a crystal display, a figure shrouded in darkness, with crystalline growths protruding from corrupted armor. The shadowed stars had once been part of the Concordat, Evelyn realized through her connection with Thura. But they had tried to force evolution, to bond with the crystals in ways that twisted both themselves and the technology. They're powering up their main weapons, Thura reported, her tactical knowledge flowing through their link. All 6 ships at once. Even with enhanced shields, we can't survive that. Evelyn felt the truth of it through the ship's systems. But she also felt something else, a possibility hidden in the crystal's ancient memories. It was dangerous, maybe impossible, but we don't have to survive it, she said. We have to transcend it. Through their shared connection, Thura felt Evelyn's plan unfold. Her 3 eyes widened in disbelief. You want to complete the heart, here? Now? That's suicide. Not completing it would be suicide, Evelyn countered, feeling the enemy ship's weapons reaching critical charge. The crystal in her hand pulsed urgently, its song rising to a crescendo. Your ancestors divided the heart for a reason. They knew someday it would need to be reformed, not by force, but through understanding between our peoples. The ship shuddered as the shadowed stars' first volley struck their enhanced shields. Warning crystals flashed throughout the chamber, they had minutes, perhaps less. Even if you're right, Thura argued, though her grip on Evelyn's hand remained firm, their connection unbroken, the proper ceremonies, the preparations. Were never about ritual, Evelyn finished, the crystal's ancient memories flowing through her. They were about finding the right moment, the right connection. She met Thura's gaze. The right people. In their shared consciousness, Evelyn felt Thura's resistance crumbling. The commander had spent centuries defending her people, following rules and traditions. But she'd also spent those centuries searching for something she couldn't name, until now. The prophecy speaks of transformation, Thura said softly, her free hand moving to the sphere containing the heart fragments. A union that would bridge worlds and unlock power beyond imagining. But it also warns of a price. Another blast rocked the ship. Through their connection to the vessel's systems, they felt its pain, its determination to protect them even as its crystalline structure began to fail. Your people are dying, the the Shadowed Stars leader hissed through the communication crystal. "Surrender the heart, and we may spare them." Evelyn looked at the trapped Vrath, saw the fear behind his anger. She felt the ship's crew through its systems, their courage, their trust in Thera, their curiosity about the human who had changed everything. And she felt Thera, a presence in her mind that felt more right with each passing moment. "The price," Evelyn said, understanding flowing through her, "is letting go of who we were, to become who we need to be." She raised the crystal. "Are you ready?" Thera's response came not in words but in feelings, trust, hope, and something deeper that made Evelyn's heart race. Together, they reached for the sphere. The moment the final piece connected with its brothers, reality shifted. Power exploded through the chamber, pure crystal energy that would have overwhelmed them if they weren't facing it together. The heart's fragments spun faster, drawing closer, their light almost blinding. Through their bond, Evelyn and Thera shared the experience of transformation. They saw the Concordat's true history, not just the surface facts Evelyn had glimpsed before, but the deep truth. The crystals hadn't just been tools or companions to Thera's people. They were meant to be bridges, ways to connect with other species, other ways of thinking. But fear had crept in. The Concordat had turned inward, hoarding their gifts. The Shadowed Stars weren't an aberration, they were a consequence of that isolation, of trying to force evolution without understanding. "You cannot comprehend the power you meddle with," the Shadowed Stars leader snarled, but there was fear in his voice now. He was right, neither of them could comprehend it alone. But together. The heart's fragments clicked into place, each connection sending shockwaves through reality itself. The ship's crystals resonated in harmony, their song building to impossible frequencies. Through their link, Evelyn felt Thera's memories becoming her own, childhood on a crystal world, centuries of service, the loneliness of command. In return, Thera experienced human dreams, human determination, human love. The final piece locked into position. The heart of Concordat, whole for the first time in 12,000 years, blazed with power that transcended physical light. But it wasn't complete, not yet. "The heart requires one last thing," Thera said, understanding flowing between them. "A choice." Evelyn nodded, feeling the truth of it in every cell. The heart wasn't just a power source or a weapon. It was a key, meant to unlock something far greater. But that unlocking required sacrifice, not of life, but of limitations. "Together?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Thera's hand tightened on hers. Through their bond, Evelyn felt the commander's smile. "Always." They reached for the completed heart as one being. Crystal energy surged through them, around them, transforming them. The chamber filled with light that existed in dimensions human eyes had never seen and Concordat sensors had forgotten how to measure. The last thing Evelyn heard before the transformation took them was the Shadowed Stars leader's gasp of recognition. The prophecy. When two become one, the light of creation returns. Then everything changed. Light flowed like liquid starfire through the chamber as Evelyn and Thera's consciousness merged completely with the heart. They were no longer simply connected, they had become something entirely new, something that existed in the space between species, between dimensions. Through their transformed awareness, they perceived reality in its entirety. The ship wasn't just a vessel, it was a living network of crystalline consciousness. The Shadowed Stars weren't just enemies, they were wounded children of the Concordat, their corruption born of desperation to evolve. Even Vrath, still trapped in his crystal prison, radiated patterns of fear and longing that they now understood completely. "What are you?" the Shadowed Stars leader demanded, his voice trembling despite his attempt at bravado. They answered with one voice, Evelyn's human warmth harmonizing with Thera's crystalline resonance. "We are what your ancestors foresaw. The bridge between worlds. The healing of ancient wounds. The next step." Power flowed through them, not just the raw energy they'd wielded before, but something far more fundamental. They could see the quantum threads that bound reality together, could reach out and gentle their vibrations. The shadowed star's weapons, moments from firing, went silent. Not through force or dominance, but through understanding. The corrupted crystals in their ships responded to the heart's song, remembering their true nature. Impossible, the leader whispered, but they felt his barrier of hatred cracking, letting in the first light of hope. Through their expanded consciousness, they reached out to all the ships, all the minds present. They shared what they had discovered, the true purpose of the crystal technology, the reason for the heart's division, the beauty of transformation through cooperation rather than force. The ship's crystals sang with renewed strength as ancient protocols activated. The heart hadn't just been a power source, it was a key to forgotten technologies, waiting for the right moment to be rediscovered. Energy cascaded through new geometric patterns that had always been present but never activated, transforming the vessel into something that transcended its original design. They felt the moment the shadowed stars understood. One by one, their corrupted crystals began to heal, resonating with the pure song of their original nature. The darkness that had twisted them began to fade, replaced by possibilities they had forgotten existed. "We offer you a choice," they said, their unified voice carrying the weight of newfound wisdom. "Continue on your path of isolation and fear, or join us in building something greater than either of our peoples imagined." Vratha's crystal prison dissolved. He fell to his knees, all three eyes wide as he witnessed the transformation occurring around him. "The ancient texts," he breathed. "They spoke of this. The ultimate evolution, not of one species, but of all." Through their expanded awareness, Evelyn and Thera began to understand the full scope of what they had become. The heart's power wasn't meant to be wielded as a weapon or hoarded as a treasure. It was a catalyst, designed to bring together different forms of consciousness, different ways of seeing reality. The ship shimmered, its crystalline structure reconfiguring into patterns that bridged organic and synthetic, physical and energy, known and unknown. The shadowed stars' vessels responded, their corrupted technologies beginning to heal and harmonize with the new frequencies. But it wasn't just the ships that were changing. As their shared consciousness touched the minds around them, they felt the beginnings of new connections forming. Concordat crew members and their vessels began to achieve new levels of synthesis. The shadowed stars' twisted bonds with their crystals started to transform into something healthier, more balanced. "This is what your ancestors saw," they told Thera's people. "Not conquest or isolation, but growth through diversity." The crystal technology was never meant to be limited to one species. It was meant to evolve as it connected with new forms of consciousness. "And this is what humanity has been reaching for," they addressed Evelyn's species, knowing their words would eventually reach Earth. Not just the stars, but new ways of being. New forms of existence that transcend our original limitations. The heart pulsed with joy as more minds joined the expanding network of consciousness. Not losing themselves, but growing into something greater through connection. The prophecy hadn't just been about uniting two people or even two species. It had been about opening the door to unlimited potential for growth and understanding. Evelyn and Thera's individual consciousness began to resurface within their union, not separating but finding a balance between unity and individuality. Their love hadn't been diminished by transformation, it had become the foundation for something far greater. Ready to change the universe? Thera's thought carried warmth and challenge. Evelyn's response held all her human determination and newfound wisdom. Together. The heart sang with power as ancient star maps activated in the ship's crystal matrix, showing paths to other worlds, other species waiting to join the emergence of something new. Above them, the aurora borealis danced with newfound patterns, a herald of changes yet to come. They had started as an archaeologist and a commander, a human and a concordat warrior. They had become something else, not an ending, but a beginning. The first step into a larger reality where the boundaries between species, between organic and synthetic, between known and unknown, were not walls but bridges waiting to be crossed. The dawn of unity had arrived, and its light would transform everything it touched.